की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्रीमन हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिगोवर्धन धाम की जय। ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की जय। मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Gaur Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining for our daily Srimad Bhagavatam study here at ISKCON of Philadelphia. Sorry, I've been traveling last several weeks. I was in India for a few weeks, then I had to travel on work and missed my turn to speak. But I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. We are reading, studying, and discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 18, text number 1. This is a new chapter. Chapter titled The Battle Between Lord Varaha and the Demon Hiranyaksha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Maitreya Uvacha Tadevam Makarnya Jalesha Bhashitam Mahamanastadviganaya Dhurmadaha Hareirviditva Gatimanganaradat Rasatalam Nirvivishetvaranvitaha. Maitreya Uvacha Tadevam Akarnya Jalesha Bhashitam Mahamanastadviganaya Dhurmada Hareirviditva Gatimanganaradhat Rasatalam Nirvivishetvaranvita. Maitreya Uvacha Tadevam Akarnya Jalesha Bhashitam Mahamanastadviganaya Dhurmada Hareirviditva Gatimanganaradhat Rasatalam Nirvivishetvaranvita. Hare Krishna, please recite.
Hare Krishna. Maitreya Uvacha Tadevamakkarnaya Jalesha Bhashitam Mahamanastadviganaya Durmadaha Hareirvidva Gatimanganaradat Rasatalam Nirbhivishet Taran Anvita. Hare Krishna.
Maitreya Uvacha Tadevamakaryam Jalesha Bhashitam Mahamanastad Viganyaya Durmada Harir Viditva Gatim Anganaradad Rasatalam Nirvishvishe Twaranvita.
Hare Krishna. Maitreya uvacha तदेवं महाकर्ण्या जलेशभाषितं महामनास तद् विगण्य दुर्मदः हरेर्विदित्वा गतिम् नारदात् रसातलं निर्विशेतोऽन्वितः.
Hare Krishna. Maitreya Vacha Tadevamakarnya Jale Sabhashitam Mahamanata Dviganaya Durmada Hare Viditva Gati Anganarada Rasatalam Nirvishetaranvita.
Anyone else?
मैत्रेय उवाच तदेव माकर्ण्यजलेशभाषितं महामनास्तद्विगनय्य दुर्मदा हरेर्विदित्वा गतिमङ्गनारदात् रसातलं निर्विवेश त्वरान्विता.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much. We'll read the synonyms. Maitreya, the great sage Maitreya, Uvacha said, Tat, that, Evam, thus, Akarnya, hearing, Jala Isha, of the controller of water, Varuna, Bhashitam, words, Mahamanaha, proud, Tat, those words, Viganaya, having paid little heed to, Durmada, vainglorious, Hare, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Viditva, having learned, Gatim, the whereabouts, Anga, O dear Vidura, Naradat, from Narada, Rasatalam, to the depths of the ocean, Nirvivishe, entered, Tvara Anvitaha, with great speed. Translation. Maitreya continued, the proud and falsely glorious Daitya paid little heed to the words of Varuna. O dear Vidura, he learned from Narada the whereabouts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and hurriedly betook himself to the depths of the ocean. Purport. Materialistic warmongers are not even afraid to fight with their mightiest enemy, the personality of Godhead. The demon was very encouraged to learn from Varuna that there was one fighter who could actually combat him. And he was very enthusiastic to search out the Supreme Personality of Godhead just to give him a fight, even though it was predicted by Varuna that by fighting with Vishnu, he would become prey for dogs, jackals, and vultures. Since demoniac persons are less intelligent, they dare to fight with Vishnu, who is known as Ajita, or one who has never been conquered. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकाय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति सपदान्तिकं नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते सच्चिदानंद स्वामी नित्य नामने नित्यानंद प्रियप्रेष्ठ दीनभद्रे कृपा संकीर्तन. Hare Krishna, thank you all again for giving me the opportunity to speak, primarily for my own purification. And before I speak, I would like to seek permission and blessings from all of you, so I can try to repeat what I have heard. Hare Krishna, thank you. So, just to read the translation again, Maitreya continued, the proud and falsely glorious Daitya paid little heed to the words of Varuna. Oh dear Vidura, he learned from Narada the whereabouts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and hurriedly betook himself to the depths of the ocean. So again, this is a new chapter, chapter 18 of the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, titled The Battle Between Lord Varaha and the demon Hiranyaksha. Yeah. So in the previous chapter, at the end, we were discussing about the conversation between Varuna and Hiranyaksha. And that conversation is continued here in this verse. Yeah. So in the previous verses, Varuna was telling Hiranyaksha, or advising actually Hiranyaksha, saying, oh, you're so skilled in fighting, in war, but I don't see anyone else other than that primeval Lord, Lord Vishnu, who can give satisfaction to you in war. So approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Varuna also advises him that when he faces that Supreme Lord, that he will rid himself of his pride immediately and will be killed, and then surrounded by dogs. And Varuna also says, just to exterminate wicked people like you, that the Lord appears in different incarnations. So in today's verse, that same topic is continued. We read, Tadevam akarnya jalesha bhashitam. Yeah, jalesha. So the jalesha bhashitam means jalesha, the jala isha, the controller of water. Yeah, Varuna is speaking. And after hearing from Varuna, Mahamanastad Viganaya Durmada. So these are the qualities of Hiranyaksha that are being described here. Not a positive description of his qualities. So the proud and falsely glorious Durmadaha, Viganaya. And Hiranyaksha, he paid little heed to the instructions of Varuna. He ignored those instructions. And then where did he go? Harer viditva gatimanga naradad. Yeah. So, of course, he heard the specific whereabouts of the Lord from Narada. Yeah. And he wanted to see the Lord and fight with him. And Rasatalam nirvivishet varanvita. Rasatalam, to the bottom of the ocean. And when did he go? How long did it take him to go? Varanvita, immediately, with great speed he went. So, when pride is there, the verse Prabhupada explains, when pride is there, we don't heed to good instructions. So he hurriedly went to the depths of the ocean. He was enthusiastic to fight, even though he knew. And Varuna is telling him, when you meet this rightful person, you will meet. The Lord, Supreme Lord, is the right person. And when you meet, you will die. So demons in general, Prabhupada explains in the purport, are very proud of whatever they have. And they generally don't give any consideration to good advice. And Hiranyaksha was, even in today's standards, was a very, very great demon. He looted so much so much gold that the earth went off balance. This verse, the purport reminded me of that episode in Mahabharata, in which Duryodhan is a good example of this. Yeah. He had many good advisors in the form of, today's verse, Maitreya is speaking to Vidura. And Vidura was one such good advisor. Vidura gave very good advice to Duryodhan and to Dhritarashtra. Bhishma was there, Dronacharya was there, and others. But Duryodhan didn't listen to any one of them. In fact, Krishna personally went as a peace messenger. Krishna spoke so nicely, very wise words for us, and tells Dhritarashtra, your decision right now is going to be a turning point. And if you decide that this battle should happen, the entire Kuru race will be vanquished. And Krishna pleaded, do not become the cause of destruction of these kings. Don't put vice over virtue. Don't be blinded between what is right and what is wrong. We hear sometimes, think twice before you act. In fact, actually in that assembly, there was many great personalities were there, but there was another great personality, Parshuram. And he also spoke. And he tells specifically to Duryodhan, oh Duryodhan, please, hear from me that once there was a great demon called Dambodbhava. Means Udbhava, means born. Damba, born of vanity. Vanity means self-importance or considering oneself extra special or great, or the center of the universe, or all important. And when you think like that, then everybody else appears less important. So Dambodbhava was like that, So he, Dambodbhava traveled and he reached to the top of the mountains where Naranarayan rishis were there. Naranarayan. Just like here we see Hiranyaksha is itching to fight. Same way this Jambodbhava, he wanted to fight with Naranarayan rishis. And Naranarayan rishis, they said, please, look at this nice, beautiful place, this mountain with beautiful trees. It is so fit for penance. Don't unnecessarily pick up any fights here. So when they spoke like that, Dambodbhava, he said, oh, you're afraid to fight with me. That is why you're giving all these excuses. So this is the thought of a demoniac person. If you decline fighting with me, I'm going to fight you right now. Okay. Then Nara said, okay, if you insist so much to fight, okay, get all your army and weapons. And when you're ready, let us know. Okay, we'll fight with you. Yeah. So then Dambodbhava gets all his army, weapons, everything. And then he tells Nara, oh, I'm ready to fight now. Come on, let's fight. So Nara picks some grass, ties a knot, hurls a mantra, and the grasses became streaks of lightning and started attacking all of Dambodva's soldiers. And that was the lightning from that grass was so powerful that all the soldiers were frozen. They couldn't even run. And very soon, Dambodbhava realized, and he fell at the feet of Nara. Oh, and begged, please, please forgive me. Then Nara tells Dambodbhava, a very important instruction he gives. First and foremost, know and understand the might of your opponent. Otherwise, it is foolish to fight. It is a sign of foolishness. So, quoting this story, remember, I started this story saying Parashuram was telling this story to Duryodhan. So, quoting this story, Parashuram tells Duryodhan and Dhritarashtra that many demons have arrived in this world and have been defeated. And there are 8 things that shorten the duration of one's life. There are 8 things that shorten the duration of one's life: desire, anger, greed, vanity, self-importance, rudeness, pride, meaning considering oneself to be superior to others, malice, and selfishness. So wherever these are found will lead to reduction in lifespan and destruction eventually. So Parshuram tells Dhritarashtra, your son does not know the difference between right and wrong. So you better take the right decision. Anyways, without going too much into the details of Mahabharata, but Duryodhan still went ahead with his own plan. We all know how he emotionally threatened Dhritarashtra also. And Duryodhan was so proud. As Prabhupada writes in today's purport, he says, materialistic warmongers are not even afraid to fight with their mightiest enemy, the personality of Godhead. So Duryodhan was so proud he even wanted to capture the Supreme Personality of Godhead and fight against him. So this shows the courage of the demoniac people. For sure it shows courage, but what is the use of such courage against the Supreme Lord? Such courage against the Supreme Lord is compared to the great courage shown by moth, that jump into the fire. What happens when moth jumps into the fire? It gets burnt, right? And dies immediately. Thus, the demon's courage against the Supreme Lord is compared to the moth that jumps into the fire. And another interesting point here in this verse, so who gave the details about where to find the Lord? Anyone remembers? Are you all with me? Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes. So who gave the details of where to find the Lord to Hiranyaksha?
Narada Muni.
Narada Muni, yes. It's very interesting, right? We see in some instances Narada gives information to demons, Sometimes it seems like he is helping them or giving them good advice, right? Even Narada told Kamsa, oh, this child is already born in some place. Kamsa killed so many children. Here also Narada is telling Hiranyaksha, oh yes, Supreme Personality of Godhead is there, you can find him. So a question may be raised, why is he trying to do that? Right? This demon is inimical to the Lord, and the intention of the demon is to kill Krishna. So why is Narada Muni telling him where is the Lord? It's like somebody is trying to do some harm to someone. Would you tell where the person is? If we tell, in one way we are contributing to the problem, right? But Narada Muni is beyond such things, So, um, Narada Muni is being honest with the demons. He's a well-wisher. He keeps his reputation as being truthful, so that the demons can continue to consult him, right? And Narada Muni is always interested in the best for everyone, right? Devotees are paradukha dukhi. A devotee of the Lord doesn't like to see others unhappy, right? We hear sarve jana sukhino bhavanti. He likes everyone to be happy. And we see Narada Muni in our disciplic line. He is one of the foremost spiritual masters. And you see, he is also the spiritual master for some who are born in the demoniac families. Like Prahlad Maharaj was the son of Hiranyakashipu. Based on the family lineage, I'm just saying, based on the family lineage, he was a Daitya, like here it is addressed. Hiranyaksha is as a Daitya. But he became a devotee. So Prahlad was born in a demoniac family. He was the son of Hiranyakashipu. But who made him a devotee? Whose efforts? Yes? Whose efforts made him a devotee?
Narad Muni's.
Yes, Narada Muni. Yes. So he didn't care externally if one was a demon or not. He gave transcendental knowledge to everyone. We also hear in the Shad Goswami Ashtakam, right? Krishna Kirtana Gana Nartana Parau Premamritam Nidhi Dhira Dhira Jana Priyakarau, right? Dhira Adhira. Dhira means pious people, pious persons. Adhira means demoniac. But the 6 Goswamis, right? Dhira Dhira Janapriya, they are dear to both, right? One would think they are only dear to devotees, right? No, even non-devotees, because 6 Goswamis cared for them also. So it doesn't matter, no favoritism. Cared about demons as much as devotees. Of course, we hear Krishna says, it's true, the Lord and his pure devotees, they're equal to everyone. The Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita, he's not partial to anyone. But those who render service to him, they're his friend. So Krishna gives everyone a chance to become his devotee. Not only one who is born in pious families, but also those who are born in demoniac families. Bali Maharaj also was born in a demoniac family but became a devotee. And, many of us, Narada Muni would go to many many places and make devotees, to demoniac places to become devotees. Same way Srila Prabhupada came, to the most impious places to make devotees. And then took those devotees back to India and made devotees in India. So, what kind of advice can one give to Hiranyaksha, to a demon like Hiranyaksha? Varuna gave good advice. But he said, if you fight with Lord, you will become a pleasure playground for dogs and jackals. But he didn't listen. Even though it was completely true, and that it was what will happen, this is what will happen, he still didn't care. To such people, there is only one option. Take the club, take the stick and beat. So Lord, we see that when Lord Varaha meets with Hiranyaksha, there is not much philosophy or wasting words. Get on with the business, right? One is, you see, Shastra and Shastra. So like a Brahmana gives good advice with words, good advice. But Kshatriya picks a mace and enforces the same thing. So words of sadhus are also sharp, they cut. Those who are intelligent, they can understand. So Hiranyaksha was looking for an opportunity to fight, and no one wanted to fight with him. He goes everywhere and then goes to Varuna. And Varuna says, I am old, I cannot fight. But you'll find a suitable person in the Supreme Lord. But that day will be your last. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, he was very enthusiastic to search out the Supreme Personality of Godhead just to give him a fight, even though it was predicted by Varuna that by fighting with Vishnu he would become prey for dogs, jackals and vultures. In some other place, Srila Prabhupada comments that, this is the demoniac mentality, the materialistic mentality. When there is, this example is given of dry cow dung. How cow dung, they make patches of it, dry it, and then use it and being burnt, right, in fire, burning in fire. So the wet cow dung, the analogy is given, wet cow dung is laughing at the dry cow dung. Oh, you're dried and being burnt. But forgets that everyone will be in that same situation. Like they say, every dog has its day. So proud people, the point is, the proud people, they tend to forget, especially when one is arrogant and ignorant. Then they forget that everyone will die one day. So why is this, out of this whole perspective is out of envy and pride. And every living entity, I'm talking about myself, should guard about this pride and envy in my life. Generally when somebody is more qualified or more attractive than us, we tend to become envious. Or when someone is less qualified, then I become proud or deride them. And when one is equal, then we tend to show off. So one has to be very careful with the pride that comes from wealth, education, and sometimes with too many followers. So that we forget that we are the servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. Kunti Maharani explains that there are 4 types of pride. Janma, Aishwarya, Shuta and Shri. Sometimes there is pride because of good birth. Sometimes there is pride because of opulence. Sometimes there is pride because of good education. And sometimes there is pride because of beauty. And Kunti Maharani explains, because of these four, one cannot have the vision of the Lord. That Lord who is akinchana gochara. Only those who are helpless, who are fully surrendered, Lord is available for them. But those who take shelter in Janma, Aishwarya, Shuta and Shri is not available. Many examples Srila Prabhupada gives in Srimad Bhagavatam. Pride due to opulence. Indra, in quite a few places, Indra's reference is given. Because of excess opulence, became very intoxicated. He was enjoying, he's the king of heavens. He was enjoying with his associates and showing off. In that assembly of great saintly personalities, everybody was glorifying Indra. And when Indra was being praised, he became proud and thought no one is equal to me. Drops of nectar were sprinkled from an umbrella, and he was becoming proud and arrogant. And at that point walked in Brihaspati, the spiritual master. Everybody got up to acknowledge, but Indra failed to get up and show respect. Immediately Brihaspati understood that Indra became proud. I see him every day. Sometimes this happens when we see devotees, great devotees, senior personalities. Every day we tend to become very familiar. There's this saying, familiarity breeds contempt. Every day I wish, I offer respect. What happens? It's okay if I don't do one day. So he didn't show respect. And Brihaspati became very displeased with Indra. What happened? What was the result? Indra lost his kingdom. Demons took over. Bali Maharaj captured, became the king. Indra lost everything due to his pride. Sometimes there can be pride due to illusion. This example of Durvasa Muni and Ambarish Maharaj is given. Durvasa Muni was a great sage. He did a lot of tapasya. At the same time, Ambarish was a great devotee who satisfied the Supreme Lord in all forms of devotional service. He was so popular that everyone was respecting him, thinking he's really very great devotee of the Lord. And Durvasa is thinking, I renounced everything. I'm a sannyasi, became a great ascetic. This king is staying in the midst of sense gratification, in the midst of all these opulences. He is more popular. So Durvasa couldn't see the reality that Ambarish was a great devotee. Padma Patraivambasam, like a lotus flower in water. Lotus is not affected. So even though Ambarish was a great king in the midst of so much opulences, he was not attached to anything material. He was a Raja Rishi. And Durvasa wanted to hurt Ambarish. He created a fiery demon from his hair. But Lord sent Sudarshan Chakra to protect Ambarish and to harm Durvasa. So, pride. And there can be pride due to education. Now this example is given of in the Chaitanya Charitamrita about Keshav Kashmiri, was a very learned scholar, was having debates and defeating everyone. He became a Digvijay. And when he came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he wanted to show off. Who can compete with the Supreme Lord? Vedescha sarver ahameva vedya. Vedantavit vedakrit. Right? Trying to compete with the Supreme Lord who has compiled, who is the knower of all the Vedas. He is the source. So this Keshav Kashmiri came to Navadvip to compete. Everybody was scared and they hid themselves. When they saw the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they thought, okay, this Keshav Kashmiri will be defeated in the hands of a kid. And even if he loses, it's okay, he's just a kid. So either ways, they wanted to take credit, But, long story short, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Keshav Kashmiri compiled so much poetry in such a short time. He was blessed by Goddess Saraswati. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, made, showed him his position, made comments on his poetry, saying that only you can understand what you have spoken. I can't make head and tail of what you said. Then he acknowledges, this small boy has mocked my intelligence. And then he falls down at the feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then he changed, became a great acharya. But until then he was an arrogant person. Pride due to education. And then pride due to power. Indra again, in that Govardhan hill pastime. He became so proud. There is no one to wage against me. That one year Krishna said, why worship Indra? Let's worship Govardhan hill. And being inspired by Krishna, everyone worshipped Govardhan hill and Indra got offended. He wanted to destroy Vrindavan. Became so proud of his opulences, of his power. Became bereft of his intelligence. Indra realizes, of course, Lord teaches him a lesson. Indra realizes and falls at the Lord's feet. Sometimes pride can come due to benedictions also. Ravana became so proud due to the benedictions from Lord Shiva. And because of the benedictions, he thought he can challenge anyone, even Lord Ramachandra, who is the master of Lord Shiva, who gave the benedictions. What was the end? He was lying dead. So one has to be very careful. Pride can also come due to elevated positions, like Daksha. He was the Prajapati, he was one of Brahma's sons. But he was thinking, I am father-in-law, and my son-in-law Shiva must fall at my feet. Daksha was seeing everything in this material respect. Even though Lord Shiva was very advanced spiritually. He offended, and what happened? His head got cut. Pride can come due to beauty also. There's another example given of one of the Vidyadharas who was very proud, went into the water along with other women. And when Angira Muni had come there in the water to take bath, he made fun of him. And Angira got offended and cursed Vidyadhara to become ugly. So, some examples are given. And it's generally said pride comes before fall. And Krishna does not like pride in devotees. So one should be very careful not to become proud, even of one's service to Krishna or his devotees. Then Krishna doesn't reciprocate. So just few points I wanted to share, that one should be very humble in his spiritual practices. One should not show off. We should always remain more humble than a blade of grass, more humble than and tolerant than a tree, like a tree, and always consider oneself as the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. Dasa, 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 anudasa. Hare Krishna. I'll stop here. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity to speak, primarily for my own purification. I welcome any comments or your perspective on things and corrections. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for talking about pride. I think one of the things that unknowingly sometimes we're just proud of doing something or attaining something or being, you know, having it, nice position, or we can speak nicely about about the philosophy, even in devotees community. So what the best way to to counteract this? I know it's very easily said, one how to be humble, more tolerant than a tree, but we come with a lot of baggage and a lot of pride, a lot of unearthers. How do you get rid of this?
By chanting the holy names of the Lord incessantly, continuously. But also to be introspective, it is there to varying degrees in all living entities. I'm talking about myself to a large degree in me. So, if we are offending devotees, if devotees are staying away from us or don't want to have our association, that means there's a lot of anarthas in me. So it's good to introspect and try to beg for forgiveness. Knowingly, as you said, knowingly, unknowingly, I may have said something or have acted in a manner that is inappropriate. So to beg for forgiveness, it's good to ask senior devotees who are around us. What devotees as in fact, if our actions or words in any way have caused any inconvenience or been hurtful, and if you have true trusted friends, they'll be very honest with you and share for our improvement, for our purification. Then we should take feedback very sincerely, very honestly, and try to work on that rather than trying to defend our actions or behavior. Yeah, so seek feedback every time from others, and take that feedback seriously and work on that. And most importantly, chant sincerely. That's what I can say, Mataji. Maybe there are other senior Vaishnavas here. Kaivalya Prabhu is there, Dronacharya Prabhu is there. I heard Acharya Prabhu is there. I heard Mother Madhavi Gauranga is there. Please. Any comments, corrections, additions to that question? Kaivalya Prabhu, Dronacharya
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna, Prabhu. Yeah, you said very nicely, that the chanting will really help in correcting. Chanting is so pure, that any condition can be corrected with that, whatever conditioning we have, because we don't chant properly. That's why this whole trouble comes in our sadhana. If we chant properly every day in Brahma Muhurta and with full concentration, then no problem should be there. Krishna will take care of all those problems. Yeah, because Krishna really wants us to come back to Golok Vrindavan. We are lost children of Krishna, so he just want to claim us back there. And if we do it properly, chanting, then we should be all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Dronacharya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prananatha Prabhu. Thank you for a nice class. The topic of humility. I liked your answer about chanting the holy names, and it made me think of Lord Chaitanya in the Shishastakam, how he teaches us to chant with a humility and a humble state of mind. And what leads to that is that he is glorifying the holy name, and that, Krishna, you've invested all your potencies in these holy names. You've made yourself so easily available. Anybody can chant these names. There's no restrictions, no rules, there's no regulations, there's no time of day. You don't have to be initiated into a family guru. None of these things are considerations. And he says, despite everything that you've done to make yourself so available, I'm still so unfortunate that I have no attraction. And for myself, that's a great place to begin with humility. Is that, what is our taste? What is our qualification? And despite Krishna making himself so available, yet we still have so many struggles. We still can't concentrate. We still, teeter from here to there, back and forth. And that itself should bring us to the point of humility, that I'm not anything really that special. I'm just a servant begging for, Krishna to deliver me. And, that leads into his feelings, into the third verse of the Shishastakam, that because I have no attraction, therefore I have to chant in a humble state of mind. Who am I to think that I'm, the controller, the master, that I am right, that I'm, what right do I have to be proud if I can't even receive the mercy of somebody so kind to make himself so available, and I still don't have attraction. And when I hear that coming from the Supreme Lord himself, what else am I to think about my own practice? Anyway, there's just some thoughts that I had with regards to
Wonderful.
humility.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing, Prabhu. Yeah. Is that okay, Mataji?
Yeah, Prabhu, it's very nice to hear from somebody else, from everybody, about the perspective about,
Yeah.
to get rid of pride, because pride is very difficult sometimes to get rid of. And
Yeah.
even we chant our 16 round, and I'm still, as long as we're not a pure devotee.
Yeah. Yeah. Personally, on a practical level, my little experience I can tell is when you're able to take feedback, say I am a very practicing neophyte, not, I am a practicing neophyte devotee, but if I have some senior Vaishnavas watch me perform devotional service, whether it is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, whatever it is service, and get feedback, areas to improve, in general, whatever. So, and if we can constructively take that feedback and improve, accepting feedback is not easy, right? There's a lot of pride. So if somebody is correcting us, it takes some humility to accept the correction and to improve ourselves. So that can also help in cutting down some of the pride. Because a lot of times I don't even realize that I have pride. The opposite person may not even tell me that they are offended. So how will I know that I have pride? So it helps. Of course, chanting is the topmost process. We have to chant to purify ourselves, as Dronacharya Prabhu said, Kaivalya Prabhu said. No doubt about it. But at a practical level, it's also, I felt very helpful to seek feedback on everything that we do. And when we can receive that feedback positively, that also curbs some of the pride in us. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Um, Lots of good points. And again, nobody can argue with the fact that chanting is, this is the instruction from Maha, is the place where it all starts. But another thing I was thinking is that the opportunity to exhibit, to practice our humility, to practice our patience, our tolerance, it's not a commodity that's given to us. We only get opportunities to practice them. There are times when we are challenged, and that is when we have to actually be able to utilize, practice what we are being taught here in these classes. We're learning. Nobody ever comes to you and says, "Oh, humility is useless. We don't need to be humble." Everybody agrees that we should be humble. How to be humble, when to be humble, that is where it all is. So how do you do that? It's not something that's handed to us. I can only practice being humble. So those opportunities come up. There are times when I don't want to do this, but I must do it because that's the right thing. And so then that leads me back to your point about feedback. Somebody's got to give me because in the moment it's difficult for me to and then that's the other thing. Nobody does anything that they think it is wrong. We do what we think we have given enough thought to. We do our best. But whether it is or not, somebody has to, hopefully guide us and be willing to tell us and help us in that way. I remember this class from a very long time ago when we were first coming to the temple. It was a young devotee that gave class, and he gave class on humility. And one sentence that he said is always hanging in my head is, to be humble, you have to acknowledge that you may not know something. If I say I know everything, I have everything I need to know, then I'm not going to accept any guidance. Only when I say I could possibly be wrong, there could be a shortcoming in me, then I'm going to be willing to take in an instruction or whatever it is. So those were just some things that were coming to my mind when you were talking about feedback. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for your comments. Yeah, it's not easy, but that is why it's a process. And we introspect and try to improve, make mistakes, we try to correct ourselves. But point noted. Thank you. I'm just talking about from the point of receiving feedback, not giving feedback. Yeah, just to be clear. Yeah, that's a totally different topic. The mode of receiving feedback is humility. Yeah, how to receive that. Hare Krishna. Any other comments? Sorry, Mother Shobha Radhe, you didn't have a question. That was just a comment, right? Just to be clear.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. Just some reflection. And again, I too am talking about receiving. Nowhere in a position to give feedback. It is about receiving, but I'm just realizing how important it is. I tend to feel I know. So to be able to receive again, even that is not very easy. But something that needs to be worked on. And like you said, it is only when you think about it along those lines, how is it for me to receive? It is not easy. I don't receive it very easily. So I understand it is very hard, but that's the only way. If you want to head in a certain direction, you have to go in that direction. Doesn't matter how hard you work. If you're going in the wrong direction, it's not going to work. If I have to go to DC from here, I have to head south. I could work very hard heading north. It's not going to take me to DC. That's my point. Is we and never saying it is easy, and not saying about giving feedback. Not that that's not important, but you have that's a whole another topic, like you said, to realize if do I have the qualification. That's a whole another level of humility, right? So it's coming back down to that humility, that understanding that there is a lot for me to learn. I mean, I see my Guru Maharaj still learning, still taking classes. I mean, that is humility. Even at that level, he feels he needs to learn. So there is never an end to learning. There is never an end to how much humility we can have. There's, just a reflection about how far we still have to go. And I'm speaking for myself here. I'm nowhere near qualified to speak for anybody else. I'm speaking for myself. But it is even humbling to realize how much I have to learn, and hopefully that will keep me in my track, in my groove, and something we need to continuously work on. It's not something you say, okay, I've accomplished this, I am humble, and off I go. Something we have to continuously keep in mind.
Yes, that makes two of us. Please. Yeah. And I like Bhavagrai Janardhan Prabhu. He made a comment. I like the quote, I live to be corrected. Yes, very, very nice. Thank you for sharing, Prabhu. Also in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Prabhupada explains in one of the purports, I think in the 13th chapter, is the humility. The definition of humility is not to be anxious to be respected by others, right? Something on those lines. I can't remember the exact verbatim, but you're not anxious for getting respect or being appreciated by others. Yeah, which means, we always consider ourselves very low and to be corrected every day. And as you mentioned, you gave the reference to Vaisheshika Prabhu, His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu. They are teaching us by example. Joy. It's 9:02. Should we end here? So I take
Thank
the
you, Prabhu.
silence as a yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki